Alright, so I don't think it's surprising when I say I'm a very big fan of Disney. I like Pixar, I like Marvel, I like Star Wars, and hell, I even like the Disney princesses. So it's depressing for me to see how much this company has gone from innovation and creativity to corporate greed and failure. That's right, you guys. Disney is in the This year, we've seen failure after failure come from this company. From their poorly written and executed MCU shows to their financial massacre of Indiana Jones 5. I'm going to break down some of these things to show you all why Disney is failing. There once was a time where Marvel was running the world. Every movie felt like a big event, like a Super Bowl or WrestleMania. Avengers Infinity War and Endgame are some of the highest grossing films ever. The acting, the effects, the story, everything was A1. Then, Phase 4 happened. I have no idea what happened or what went wrong with this phase, but I can consider this to be the phase that killed the MCU. There's so much that's wrong with this phase. Disney really put tons of investment into their MCU shows, and each and every one of them have been rushed, lazy, and just downright awful. Now I know what you're thinking. What does Disney have to do with this? Well, besides owning the streaming service that's sucking the creative blood out of the MCU like a mouse-shaped vampire, it's a fast and long-paced story. It feels like Disney is quickly trying to get to the same levels of hype that Infinity War and Endgame had. Hell, why do you think they went ahead and released their entire plan for this next saga? The next big Avengers film is supposed to come out in 2026, with the next one coming out a year afterward. Do you guys expect them to keep the same pace of storytelling they had with the Infinity Saga? We went from getting about 2 to 3 projects a year during the Infinity Saga to 9 projects in 2022. They are completely shoehorning in what they can in order to make their way to the next Endgame. Now, this has also ruined the novelty and storytelling of the universe. With all these world-ending threats and planetary catastrophic events happening within every series/movie, you tend to ask yourself, where are the other superheroes while this is happening? Do their lives just go on pause while this hero is dealing with their struggles? Did you guys know that Moon Knight is still roaming around in the MCU doing whatever? Or the fact that Captain America is still roaming around as well? You'd think that Sam Wilson would be more reactive to the events going around the world because, he's the only superhero that has contacts with higher ups. And I know what you're thinking. Tylen, you need to be more patient with them. They're building up to a bigger story just like the Infinity Saga. I'm sorry, my friend, but that whole argument of being patient is just complete bullshit. You can't continuously throw all these movies, shows, special presentations that introduce all these characters and plot lines that seem to be going nowhere and then tell me to be patient and wait. That's like taking me out to a restaurant and just piling up my table with food. I'm talking about pizza, pasta, burgers, anything you can think of. But as soon as I try to get my hands on it, you smack my hand away and tell me to be patient because there's more food coming out. Now I'm just confused because this is already a lot of food. Why am I getting more? What if this food gets old by the time I'm able to see the rest of it? And trust me, the food is getting old fast. Like the fries are getting stale. Just like half of the MCU movies and shows have already gotten stale. And we haven't even gotten to the end of this saga yet. Disney is making this universe suffer in order to quickly recover the hype with what Endgame had and the money they received from it. The MCU shows are extremely forgetful because instead of focusing on the stories they're trying to tell within the show, they're deciding to rush through them to get to the next big event or project. Like, I have a question for the 13% of people who fully watch Ms. Marvel. Looking back at the show, are you going to remember it for the story that it told or the fact that it confirmed that Kamala Khan is a mutant? None of these shows have received a season 2 because Disney doesn't care. Loki is only getting a season 2 because it was the only MCU show that didn't suck. Hawkeye, Moon Knight, WandaVision, every single one of these shows that could use a season 2 to keep those characters relevant aren't receiving one. But don't worry, we're still getting that Echo show. God, this franchise is doomed. The costumes have gotten cheesy, the VFX are abysmal. I'm looking at you, She-Hulk, and good lord are the cameos becoming completely shameless. Like, what was the point of introducing the Illuminati and Multiverse of Madness if they weren't going to have any significance in anything else? Disney wants your butts in seats so they can shoehorn any and every cameo as possible. Why do you think Hugh Jackman's coming back for Deadpool 3? Last time playing Wolverine, my ass. Though I am excited to see how it will play out. Instead of trying to force this goal into their projects, why don't they allow these directors to, direct? Afraid people might get bored of what they're seeing? Introduce a small-scale invasion arc, whether that be AIM, the X-Men, or hell, Secret Invasion. Making Secret Invasion a show was a bad idea from the jump. The story is supposed to showcase how some of our favorite superheroes weren't who they seemed they were, meaning characters such as Sam Wilson, Hawkeye, Bucky should have been included within this show. But, those characters are played by actors who you'd have to pay tons of money in order for them to make a cameo within the show. Why not throw out a release of movies and implement the Skrull invasion within each movie? Not only does that make the universe feel more connected, but it also allows some of these big characters to be revealed as Skrulls. The Secret Invasion we got felt like a poor man's version of what we could have had, and it absolutely stinks. And that's no lie to Marvel's in the pooper now. Let's just hope they can swim their way out. Let's be real, we haven't had a good Star Wars movie in about 18 years. Along with the MCU, Disney is completely slaughtering the Star Wars franchise. Now there's been some bangers within the past 2 to 3 years. Clone Wars, Tales of the Jedi, Andor, and their saving grace, The Mandalorian. But they also have some complete poopy projects. The sequel trilogy, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and The Book of Boba Fett. The sequel trilogy has aged terribly. You can find all the merchandise for the movies at your local bargain store where they're basically just begging you to take the crap. Rey, Finn, and Poe haven't been looked back on in retrospect, and none of these movies had significance besides being significantly bad. Now, if you guys didn't know, I recently took a trip to one of Disney's theme parks and ventured into their Star Wars expansion, Galaxy's Edge. And if you guys didn't know, the expansion is canon to the sequel trilogy, and one of their flagship rides, Rise of the Resistance, is based on the sequel trilogy. And let me tell you, theatrics aside, this ride has aged terribly. I don't feel intimidated when I hear the First Order. I don't get excited seeing Poe Dameron come to save us from a fleet ship. I don't go ooh or ah or holy shit when Rey appears from the hologram during the pre-show. And I sure as don't poo my pants or feel startled when I see Kylo Ren. What I see nowadays from these characters in this trilogy is a soulless corporate cash grab. Let's look at the hypothetical here. What if the world of Galaxy's Edge and Rise of the Resistance was based on the trilogy that we know and love, the original trilogy? Imagine instead of Rey seeing Luke appear on the hologram during the pre-show, having Chewbacca or Han Solo save you during the ride, and imagine how terrifying it would be to have Darth Vader chasing you throughout the ride trying to hunt you down. You got excited, right? That's because those characters are, characters. They all have their own sense of novelty and charm because they have a good story that they came from and good development. Once Disney got their hands on Star Wars, they decided that they wanted to make their own set of characters and their own trilogy in order to market merchandise and generate all types of cash dollar dough. They wanted their own money vacuuming characters, just like Luke, Han, and Leia. That's cool and all, but they totally forgot why those characters are so popular and why those characters generate so much money. It's the story. But don't get me wrong, I actually like Rey, but it's not the reason you think it is. Not because she's a strong, independent woman that's good at everything she does. It's the fact that she's an absolute tank in Battlefront 2. You know how many times I ran Rey in a game and left top 5 in the leaderboards? I didn't choose her because she's some cool, charming character. It's because of her game mechanics. Same with Kylo, same with Phasma, same with Finn. Hell, now that I think about it, Disney had their own shameless version of R2-D2 with BB-8. I'm sorry, I don't care for these sequel trilogy characters. I heard Rey is getting a new movie, but I don't think anybody cares enough to see her again. She has no significance. Star Wars, Disney, and losing money go together like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Recently, Disney had announced that their Star Wars themed hotel would be closing down due to low performance issues. And this is the same hotel that costs $4,000 to stay in. I don't think you guys realize, but you can take a whole 7-day cruise to Alaska for $4,000. Not only that, but it cost Disney $1 billion to make. And now, sadly, but definitely deserved, they've wasted that money as they're forced to close down the hotel. Now, a lot went wrong with this hotel. It was a completely stupid thing to make. For starters, you're in a concrete box, with the only source of outdoor light being a small garden that's supposed to simulate the climate of Galaxy's Edge. Cheesy, right? Also, in order to like this hotel, you gotta be an extrovert. This isn't some kind of themed all-inclusive resort. It's a hotel that's whole experience is based off of roleplay. Star Wars roleplay. God forbid you bring somebody who isn't a Star Wars fan because you just wasted $2,000, buddy. Another thing is, it's based on the sequel trilogy. You know, the trilogy that everyone hates? I've already spoken on that as well. The requirements for even considering to stay at this hotel are way too ridiculous to be charging someone $4,000. You'll only enjoy this hotel if you're a Star Wars fan, not extremely self-aware to realize how cringy it is, an extrovert. You might want to have a kid with you so you can get a better experience. You have to be a sequel trilogy fan, comfortable with essentially staying in a prison for 2 nights and not being able to leave. Maybe if the prices were, I don't know, cheaper, people would probably be obligated to at least try the experience. But charging that much and them hypothetically not enjoying their experience, well, they just wasted their chances on buying them a new pre-owned Ford Taurus. Star Wars is becoming soulless due to corporate greed. The Mandalorian has become insufferable because of all the shameless Grogu merchandise. Obi-Wan Kenobi was an awful bait and switch to get you to only care about Disney's new characters, and Boba Fett was essentially just a modern-day Marvel movie except with Star Wars. I hope Ahsoka's good. God, I hope Ahsoka's good. Because if it isn't, Star Wars will join Marvel in the pooper. I don't remember the last time I heard about a good Disney movie. A Disney movie that didn't fail. I think the last one I remember hearing about that was decent was Encanto. And that wouldn't completely flopped if it wasn't for Disney+. When I say Disney has lost its creativity, this is what I mean. We went from getting straight bangers like Mulan, The Lion King, The Little Mermaid, Aladdin. Honestly, Disney thought they were bangers too. So much of a banger that they decided to remake each of those movies into money-grabbing live-action versions. Wait a minute. Disney has been going on this long, enduring trope of reimagining their old Disney films, and they've been soulless. Each of these movies lack the original novelty and charm that their original counterparts had. They essentially have no purpose. Let's take a look at the latest live-action remake, for example, The Little Mermaid. This movie is essentially the same movie as the original concept, except now, Ariel is black. Now I know what you're thinking. Tylen, you f***ing dummy, that's what a remake's supposed to be. I know, stupid. Why do you think they all absolutely suck? Remakes only work with video games. Making a remake of a classic movie only takes away the charm that the original one had. The only thing significant about these movies is the constant race swaps within them. Now don't get me wrong, I could care less that Ariel or Tinkerbell are being played by black women. I'm just confused on why Disney picks and chooses their inclusivity. You can't be pro-diversity and then proceed to do damage control on your black leads because you're afraid the film won't sell internationally. With The Little Mermaid not doing too well both critically and financially, surely Disney would take this as a sign and move away from those soulless abominations, right? No! They're planning on making a Snow White remake that completely takes away the thing that people like Snow White for. They're making an unnecessary remake of Lilo and Stitch that actually has a really good casting option for Lilo, but not for her sister. But Tylen, she's Polynesian too. Okay, Disney does know they do come in darker shades, right? Remember when I said Disney lost its creativity? Instead of making an animated sequel for Moana, they're deciding that it would be 1,000 times easier just to make a remake for the first one, except in live action. God bless Disney. Now, I won't completely chew them out for their bad business practices. They've actually made a smart and, dare I say, creative decision. You see, throughout their theme parks, Disney has made many original rides such as Space Mountain, Expedition Everest, and Test Track. And now they're beginning to make those rides in the movies. I bet you guys didn't know that Pirates of the Caribbean was based off the Disney ride. I've been advocating for them to do this instead of making those remakes because it opens them up to making creative and original stories. They did this with Jungle Cruise, which was a fun premise. But they recently did this with The Haunted Mansion, which as of this video came out last Friday. Let's check it out to see how it's doing. Are you f***ing kidding me? Well, add this to the movie of flunks. I don't know, but there seems to be a trope of movies that have terrible people casting in them tending to flunk in the theaters. On top of that, why did we decide to release this scary movie in the middle of summer? You're just asking for bankruptcy at this point. I think we all know that Disney is prominently known for their theme parks. I mean, I would argue that that's where majority of their income is coming from. But recently their theme parks have been in, well, the shit house. If you kept up with anything Disney, you'd know that their theme parks are extremely empty this summer. And there's really only one answer to that: competition and the lack of innovation. Okay, never mind, there were two answers. For the past couple of years, Universal has been dominating in the theme park business. They recently opened Super Nintendo World. You want to see me go there? Check out the video in the top right corner. Velocicoaster, which is considered to be the best roller coaster in Orlando, Florida. And they're soon to open a third theme park in Orlando, a children's theme park in Texas, and a new roller coaster in their Hollywood location. This was all done and announced within 3 years. Okay, let's see what Disney has done with their theme parks in the past 3 years. Opened a Tron coaster? Okay, that's cool. Opened Avengers Campus? More on that later. Opened Toontown in Disneyland? I mean, it's no Super Nintendo World, but it was still cool. I had a good time. What I'm trying to say here is that Universal has kept a certain edge over Disney that's finally let them skyrocket over their competition. Avengers Campus is lackluster. It's essentially just a glorified expansion that one would see at a Six Flags park. The theming is bland, and it's kind of small. Also, there's only one attraction that's worth riding. The only thing Avengers Campus has going for it are the meet and greets. The shows are pretty cheesy, with the only one being the Spider-Man stunt show, aside from the subpar parkour segment. Meeting the Avengers is cool, I'll give them that, and the constant implementation of characters coming to the campus as soon as their shows and movies are released is pretty cool as well. But the campus should definitely have more to offer. Like, come on, you can't let the 22-year-old Spider-Man attraction outdo your new one, which is less than 5 years old. Let's hope that their new multiversal Phase 2 attraction has something to offer. The constant implementation of IPs in the Disney parks is tiring. Don't get me wrong, it's cool to step into the world of Star Wars, Toy Story, and Marvel, but with those, Marvel excluded, you can tell there was some innovation put into them. And Galaxy's Edge, though it may be based on the soulless sequel trilogy, allows visitors to feel as if they're stepping onto a desolate planet. In Toy Story Land, you feel as if you're in Andy's backyard. Again, there's innovation and ideas put into those expansions, though they're IP implementations. But of course, when it comes to Disney, you're gonna have some good, which is quickly followed up by something bad. Now, one Disney theme park that's completely fallen to bad IP implementation is Epcot. I say this because Epcot is the literal Disney definition of innovation. Disney tends to ruin the novelty of their IPs, and Cosmic Rewind is a prime example of this. Though I haven't ridden this ride, from what I've seen, this just looks disappointing. Now, the actual ride aside, I want to talk about the aesthetics and just the theming of this attraction. Disney and Universal both have Marvel attractions in their theme parks, but after signing a complex and detailed contract, Disney is allowed to have Marvel in their California park, but when it goes to Florida, they're only allowed to use unpopular, non-noticeable characters. Now, this was before we got the Guardians that we know and love, so Disney found a loophole and used the Guardians for their new attraction. And you can tell they only made this because of the success on the one on the West Coast. But there's a difference between the two, a difference that makes one way better than the other. You can tell Disney wanted to, again, capitalize on the hype of something they've already done. I swear they think their audience are just a bunch of sheep. Just like everything else, they completely rushed this ride and threw stuff together. First off, Rocket isn't even played by Bradley Cooper, and it sounds insanely weird. Second, the cast looks like they're there for a check and nothing else. And third, the music choices sound as if they went on Spotify and looked up an oldies playlist. Sure, the ride may look fun coaster-wise, but the build-up and creativity feels non-existent. The constant implementation of Disney IPs is equivalent to holding a treat over a dog's head or giving a baby a pacifier when they're crying. Disney knows as soon as they slap an IP onto something, visitors will be crawling back to the parks to check it out. And it's just lazy of them. This is the same company that brought us Space Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain, The Haunted Mansion, and now they've resorted to lazily slapping half-ass IP attractions everywhere around their parks. You know, when some of their most popular rides in their international parks are original concepts, something is going wrong. Pixar. Good God, what happened? Pixar has been an absolute titan of the animation industry, and it's recently had a fall from grace. But honestly, there's only one company to blame for this. It feels as if Disney sees Pixar as a waste, a burden. They continuously throw their movies onto Disney Plus, which essentially is just a death sentence for franchises. Obviously, this sets a precedent as seeing most of their movies are being released to Disney Plus. Moviegoers will soon rely on Disney Plus to watch those movies. This is why Lightyear failed. This is why Elementals failed. Actually, Lightyear makes me sad altogether. What a cool concept ruined by the uncreativity of a corporate company. This definitely should have been as cheesy as the commercials we used to see in the original movies. Actually, speaking of the original movies, is there a reason why we're making a 5th Toy Story movie? Does Disney even know where the 4th movie left off? Do they even know where the 3rd movie left off? You know, we just had a 5th movie of a popular franchise that should have ended a long time ago, and it ended up flopping. Like, why not make an Incredibles or Nemo into a trilogy? Why not give us an actual Monsters, Inc. sequel? Nope, Disney doesn't want to be innovative anymore. They just don't want to be creative. They don't want to do what made the company so great years ago. Now looking at this, I bet you wonder where I stand in this situation. I literally just came back from Disneyland like a month ago. Do I like Disney? Yeah. Do I want to see them fail? No. I don't like seeing anything fail. But do they deserve this failure? Sadly, yes. With the writer's strike further exposing them for being an awful company and the CEO just being a complete jackass, add that to their constant refusal to be innovative and creative and seeing their audience as sheep who will consume whatever, yes, I do think they deserve this. But at this point, only time will tell. Ladies and gentlemen, was the inevitable failure of Disney. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of felt bad making this video because as you guys know, again, I'm a big fan of Disney. But it's my job as a content creator to keep it 100% real with you all the time. So when crap is crap, I have to acknowledge the fact that it's crap. But anyways, that was mostly it. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment. If you think Disney isn't failing and is actually succeeding, let me know in the comments. Tell me why you think that. But anyways, again, make sure you like, subscribe, comment. Subscribe or Disney will turn your favorite franchise into a live action remake. They'll just buy it, whether it be from Sony, Warner Bros, Illumination. They'll just buy it and turn it into a live action remake, and you don't want that. But anyways, with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. So long.